Here's what we're hearing about the Colorado Avalanche as they approach the trade deadline. Nazem Kadri is top of their to-do list, and it's an exciting time for Avalanche fans as Kadri is obviously a fan favorite following the 2022 Stanley Cup, but his time in Calgary appears to be coming to an end, and the Avalanche are first in line for his services. They have made him number one on their trade board. The sticking point here continues to be the contract. There are 3 years left on Kadri's deal. He's already 35 years old. He's having a down season with the Flames. $7 million. That's a lot of money. What we're hearing is that the Avalanche are dead serious about getting Kadri to come back, but the Flames don't want to retain any of the money. Their management does not want the dead cap on their books, and the ownership group doesn't want to spend the money to watch Nazem Kadri go chase Stanley Cup somewhere else. That means that somebody's going to have to give. Is it going to be the Avalanche? Is it going to be the Flames? This is a stressful situation for all the parties involved because other teams are also serious about bringing Kadri in. We have heard that Kadri is not so interested in going to other places as long as the Avalanche remain on the table. His preference is to come back to Denver and be an Av again and get back with the group that he had the most success with in his career. The other big story that has started to develop as the Avalanche get near this trade deadline, Val Nichushkin. This isn't a player that you would think there would be a lot of interest in just with the recent suspension history and the players assistance program problems that he's had. It is surprising to hear his name out at this time of year. I think this is probably more of a summer thing, but there have been a lot of conversations about the Detroit Red Wings sniffing around and their interest in Nichushkin. I'm not sure how the Avalanche would be able to make themselves better this season by moving out Nichushkin. The type of return that they get is so in flux that it might be more of a summer conversation, but the noise has continued to build on Nichushkin and the Avalanche possibly parting ways here. One of the names that continues to be on the market for the Avalanche, Ross Colton, is no surprise. He has just 7 goals this year. He has 10 goals in his last 92 regular season games. That's not what the Avalanche are paying $4 million for. And despite Colton constantly being in the action, constantly being in other teams' faces, and playing with the kind of competitive fire, speed, and aggression that the Avalanche want out of a third-line player, his lack of production has become a problem. He's being outproduced by everybody around him, and he continues to get good ice time whenever there's an injury. So there's really no excuses here other than Colton has lost his scoring touch. There have been it's been a complicated relationship between Colton and Jared Bednar for a while now, and I think that we might be nearing the end of this tenure here. The $4 million isn't something that the Avalanche desperately need right now, but it can be part of whatever deal they would like to make. And if the Kadri conversation is in play, moving out a guy like Colton would make a lot of sense to try and balance the books a little bit. One of the more surprising names that we've heard being bandied about here, Jack Drury's name. It's not that the Avalanche don't love the player. It's not that the Avalanche don't want him. It's actually the opposite. The Avalanche have tried to extend Jack Drury on multiple occasions during this season. He has rejected those overtures to this point. That has put him in the mix for possibly being moved. What we've seen this season, Jack Drury's a good player. He's a valuable player, but he's a fourth-line center. He is not a good enough offensive engine that he can be relied on to produce offense on a nightly basis. It's not good enough from what the Avalanche are hoping to get out of the third line center spot, and much more of a fourth line center. Their contract extension offers to him have reflected that. That is not something that Drury has been wanting to do to this point. He is a restricted free agent this summer, so it's not something that the Avalanche have to do. But Drury has arbitration rights. That's something that teams don't like. That's always a part of the process that it gets a little sketchy between the two parties. Nobody really likes arbitration. It's sort of a necessary means to an end at times, and that could be where this heads. But because Drury has not been wanting to take those deals, it has put him into the market for possibly being moved. Fourth line centers can be traded for and signed for pretty cost efficient prices. And with Drury turning down multiple deals, that tells you that the Avalanche are probably going to have to go to a place that they don't want to go to in order to get him re-signed. And when you're talking about limited guys in your lineup like this, you need to be able to cut a corner somewhere. And it just might appear that Drury over the long term might be pricing himself out of Colorado. So it's not that the Avalanche don't like the player and are eager to move him. It's more that the money just might dictate that, Cale Makar's extension this summer is coming, and that sort of looms over everything, particularly the Nazem Kadri conversation, but it trickles all the way down to even a guy like Jack Drury. One other name that we are looking at, Zakhar Bardakov has been a mainstay in the Avalanche lineup this year. He only has 1 goal and 9 points. He's averaging about 7 minutes of ice time. He's not really doing a whole lot most nights. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just clear that Bardakov is it's just not the right time for him to be in the Avalanche organization. They don't have the patience for him to work through some of the young guy things, but he plays with speed. He plays with tenacity. He's got some grit. There are some underlying numbers that tell you he could be an interesting fit, but it needs to be with a team that has the patience and willingness to let him work through those issues in meaningful ice time. Not very many players out there are ever going to get better playing 7 minutes a game. Two teams that we've heard that are interested in him, the Los Angeles Kings and Philadelphia Flyers. The Kings are interesting because their injuries, you would think that they would be packing it in, but because it's Anze Kopitar's final season, GM Ken Holland is feeling inspired to continue to go for it, to try and keep his guys in there and to not just pack it in and give players away. Particularly Warren Foegele, who would be a good fit in Colorado, a player that the Avalanche could afford, and as a guy that they really like. He is signed through next season at about $3.5 million. Would be a good fit for the Avs, but with the Kings' injury issues, suddenly Foegele, who had been healthy, scratched a number of times earlier this year under a different head coach now, suddenly it doesn't look like their appetite for moving on from him is going to be what it was even just a month ago before the Olympic break began. The other area that you can look for the Avs, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Terrible season for them. Terribly disappointing. Not what they were expecting. A couple of guys that continue to get buzz. Scott Laughton is one that we've talked about a lot on our show over the years. He's a feisty heart and soul type of player, but would be more of a fourth line center and can pot a couple of goals, kind of the opposite of what Jack Drury brings in that he's more goal scorer than playmaker, gives you hard minutes, gives you physical minutes. Not just very, very similar to ceiling as what Drury brings, but the way that they do it is basically the completely opposite. Other Maple Leafs players that the Avalanche are showing a lot of interest in, defenseman Simon Benoit. This is your big and ugly seventh defenseman, heart and soul. He blocks shots, he hits guys, he has no puck skill. This is your plug and play. He's a great vet. He's got a great attitude. He comes to the rink prepared every day. Organizations love him. They love the person. The player is very limited. This is one that is a little iffier in terms of how he fits into how the Avalanche like to play, but is an archetypal seventh defenseman. Makes a lot of sense that they're just injury replacement here. One player on the Maple Leafs who the Avalanche absolutely love is Bobby McMann. They may not have the assets to make this happen. There's a lot of talk that McMann could cost a first-round pick in order to acquire. For a third-line forward who is an expiring UFA, that's pretty rich. If he had another year on his deal, I think that would be a very different conversation. But because he is going into free agency this summer and allegedly looking for a contract in the 5x5 territory, that's really tough for the Avalanche to go there right now with all the financial considerations that they have to make this summer. So I'm not sure that the Avalanche are going to have the trade horses to really go and get Bobby McMann, but arguably the best fit that they have in their lineup. And talk about a guy who would be an absolute perfect Abs player. His elite speed, forechecking, he hits, and he's tracking to have another 20-goal season. So you're talking about a meaningful upgrade in terms of how he plays and what he would bring to the Avalanche lineup. Back on the defensive end, one more name that has been bandied about quite a bit, Urho Vakanainen of the New York Rangers. He signed for $1.7 million through next season. Doesn't do a ton. There's not much upside there, but he's a very safe number 7 and would provide the Avalanche with some insurance in case Brett Kulak does not re-sign in the summer. And he could be their 6th guy to start next season. Very bland, not very physical, does not do a lot of the dirty things, but also does not have very much offensive punch to his game. Just safe, very safe. Limited upside, but you know what he's going to bring to the lineup every day is going. It's going to be. You'll shrug and you'll say it's fine. He's a guy that the Avalanche like as a cheaper. Just an insurance policy, essentially, and with an eye on next year as well. So that's what we're hearing about the Avalanche leading up to this year's trade deadline. Follow along at DNVR Sports and DNVR Avalanche to see where this goes.
We all silly like the mayor.